Welcome to the Off Kilter podcast, Ep.6.
I heard that pause. You were like,
6.
yeah.
Last time.
Oh, yeah. Last time we were talking about dreams, and like a little bit of that section was about some of the kind of weird stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I see, stuff along that lines. So I went home. This was like 2-3 days later. I went home that night. Was really paranoid for some reason. So I looked to my right when I walk in the door and was looking in that area. And my mom had put a ladder right where that thing normally is. So I was like, I got kind of scared. I was like, what's that? That's different. Because, it was like 3 a.m. I mean, you're tired. You're like, what is this thing? What is that? It's not what I want. Well, anyway, she takes the ladder down the next day. And then the day after that, I decide, hey, I'm going to go see if I can look for that thing. The rabbit monster
man.
Demon thing.
Demon.
Yeah.
Shadow demon.
Yeah, that. So I go to where I would normally stand and see it. But we had just gotten done painting the bricks. Like, it's a brick wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So instead of being brown, it's like white. And it significantly makes the room brighter.
Okay.
So I couldn't, make out the outline as much as I usually could.
Right.
But, I'm human. Your brain still wants to see something there.
Right.
So I tried to take a picture of it, and I was getting super uncomfortable while I was doing this because I was like, if I turn on the flash and it flashes and takes the picture and I see something for a split second.
Right when the flash goes off, you see it?
Yeah, I would die. I would scream, run. I would just, that's it. Nope.
Yeah, it'd be a bad time.
Would you want to live after that? No, that's terrifying.
Not in that house.
Definitely not in that house. And then, after that happened, before I'd go to buy a house, I'd have to unlock the door to the house and then just walk through with a phone and, the flash.
Take a picture of every corner.
Yeah, see if something appears,
As one does when they buy a house.
I mean, we've all been there.
Standard affair.
You tell the real estate agent, hey,
have you seen any shadow demons lately?
Hey, can I walk through here with, a flash camera?
And an exorcist?
Yeah. What's a good exorcist name? Jimmy. Jimmy the exorcist.
Jimmy that local exorcist.
Well, it's
Come
not
down to your local exorcist shop.
What do you think his name's going to be?
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo?
Yeah, that's an exorcist I'd trust.
Is it though?
Yeah.
It needs to sound more Italian.
Italian?
Joseph. Yeah.
No.
I mean,
I don't know many Italian names.
I don't know what's Italian. It's got to sound like.
I mean that the bass player on YouTube, Davey504, is Italian.
Oh, you know what?
Is Davey an Italian name though?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Surely not. You know what his name is? Fibonacci.
Oh, like the Fibonacci sequence.
Yeah, that's the nerd joke I was going for.
The golden ratio.
See, he can only take one ghost, and the second time it's one ghost. There's 3.
The ghost has to be this, the 2 ghosts put together has to equal the 3rd ghost.
Yeah. And then so on and so forth. Eventually, you catch the 3 ghosts, and it has to be equal to 5 ghosts to wear the mask.
Yeah, and when you draw a spiral, it looks like the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, there you go. What?
Is
that the Fibonacci sequence?
Yeah, they say that because you have the graph with the spirals going through the center of all the Fibonacci sequence, and they say that Leonardo da Vinci supposedly used that for the proportions of the Mona Lisa.
Really?
Supposedly.
I thought it was just sort of a sequence of numbers.
Some of the Fibonacci stuff, they're this is how they use the Fibonacci sequence, and it's sort of off the wall, it's grabbing at straws sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds intelligent. You're like, excuse me, sir, I'm going to use the Fibonacci sequence.
I was watching a video on that the other day.
Really?
Yeah.
What are the odds of us bringing that up?
I know. That's honestly, when you said Fibonacci, I was like, what? Literally yesterday I was watching the YouTubers, 2 guitar YouTubers, Samurai Guitarist and Paul Davids, did a challenge where one of them wrote music using the Fibonacci sequence, and the other one used the golden ratio.
How do you write music using the Fibonacci sequence?
He tried to do time signatures where it was 1 8 1 1 8 2 8 5 8 or 3 8 and so on.
You've lost me.
The Fibonacci sequence, he used those to determine the time signature.
Oh, literally the times. For some reason I was thinking key, and I was like, that sounds awful.
And then he used it to determine how many notes were going to be in a phrase.
Oh, I mean, that's interesting. Don't know how I feel about that. Did it sound good?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the time signature idea worked out, but he used it to determine how many notes were in a phrase.
Okay.
So
wow, one note phrase. Bah.
And he experimented with the idea of using the numbers to determine like the names of notes. So like if you're in C major and the one is C, he used that like to assign each note numbers and tried to use the Fibonacci sequence to make a melody like that, where it just like repeated itself after 8. So like 9 was the 2 again.
Yeah.
And things like that, but it didn't really work.
Yeah, I was about to say,
melody
that
wasn't
sound
very
like
good.
the word.
I mean, it worked, but it wasn't very good.
That'd be
melody.
like doing chords, not at the same time, just being like C, E, G, E, C, E, G. You know, just like it wouldn't be interesting.
Yeah, well, it wasn't that interesting. It was just kind of like random notes.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
But then the other guy did a song using the golden ratio.
What is that?
The golden ratio?
I've never heard of that before.
Do you know phi, like the Greek?
Okay, I've heard of phi. Yeah.
That's the golden ratio, 1.618, I think.
Okay.
And it's the Fibonacci sequence in the larger numbers. When you divide the one number by its previous one, gives you the golden ratio.
Really? Huh.
So that's how the two are connected. So, yeah, like when you have a piece of paper and then a piece like two others that equal that one, that's the golden ratio type deal.
That's kind of neat, actually.
And that's when you see like the spiral like going forever. It's like it dividing into the golden ratio a million times.
Oh, okay. That's how it makes. Okay, because it makes the spiral that way. Because that way it always turns out even. That makes sense. I gotcha.
Now that we're out of math class,
Math and music. I mean, music and math isn't that different. It's really not. Music is just math with like pitch.
That is
Change
the
my
worst
mind.
thing I've ever heard.
Change my mind. I gotta get my mug and sit outside with a sheet of paper.
Music is math with pitch.
Change my mind. And timbre.
I disagree. There are aspects that are.
I mean, I'm not being serious, obviously. Anyway. Go ahead.
You said anyway first.
I thought you were going to say something.
You said anyway first. How are you going to say anyway and then be like, oh, I thought you were going to say something?
Well, I cut you off when I said the music is just math with pitch.
You're just like, anyway.
Yeah.
You can't say anyway and then like expect them to say something.
I'm sorry. Okay, language. We
planned
to talk about that today.
Languages. Being that we can't speak. Anyway.
Evidently not. So, fun fact. Wesley did not learn English as his first language.
I have a secret. No.
This is my secret. That
would be such English. A cool secret to like tell. Like you had learned like Latin as a baby.
Latin. And you went with Latin out of everything.
And you kept it up your whole life, and like you get into high school and you're like, I got a secret, guys. I have no idea what I'm doing in English.
English class is so hard. What are these words? I speak Latin.
I speak Aramaic.
Oh, dude, that'd be pretty gnarly, actually. You could be like, hey, anybody got the oldest version of the Bible?
Anybody got some Dead Sea Scrolls lying around, boys?
You'd be like the best Jewish person ever. Just like read...
The best Jewish person ever.
Just read straight out of the Dead Sea Scrolls.
It's like, yes, very nice.
Jew intensifies.
Okay, so anyway, me and Garrett are both learning different languages. Is the point of this whole discussion.
So that's where we were going with that. Yeah,
we're gonna like talk about how we're going about it and things like that.
Yeah,
and a little bit of how we're doing. Like we're both using college as one of the resources and how that's going. Which I haven't started classes yet because I start in the spring I've started classes, but not Japanese classes.
Yeah. Which is the language he is learning.
We've mentioned it in passing.
I think we have, yeah.
And past episodes. I'm learning Japanese. Garrett's learning Russian.
Because.
Yeah.
Fun. Why not?
Yeah, fun.
I feel like, especially because it's such a different culture is what makes it more unique.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of ironic how we were both talking about how like our culture isn't very collectivist. Mm-hmm. And then we both decide to learn a language that is very...
Well, we talked about Japan and...
yeah, but I'm saying that
US
wasn't
in
the
general
intention.
last episode, or not last episode, a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, how we said that, and then we both happen to choose a language that is very like collectivist based in the country.
Yeah, I feel like the way Russia is collectivist is a lot different than the way Japan is collectivist.
Very different. But in a way, it still is.
Oh, yeah. Well, definitely, like, you could say they're both collectivists, but I think the way they go about that is very different. I mean, I don't know a ton about Russian culture. I'm sure you know more than I do, being that you're kind of...
Yes and no. It really depends. Like, I know there's still modern-day people that wish for the bygone days of communism.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's people in Japan, they're like, the old people in Japan, some of them are like, I miss the emperor.
Wait, when was it? I thought the emperor was, like, gone before they were alive.
I'm sure there's people alive from the World War II era.
Probably like the 30s, yeah, but they're like 90.
No, the emperor was around during World War II.
I know. Oh, I'm thinking like age-wise, because let's say you were born in 1940, you'd know the emperor for like 8 years, and you're like 8. Does that really count? That's why I said the 30s. I just threw it out because they would. Counts. Come on, it'd be like, I miss Mr. Hirohito and his diehard. What's the word for it?
I have no idea.
Dedication to the Japanese.
Dedication.
I miss the way he would force us to go to war.
Yes,
and commit suicide instead of just going out.
The good old days.
Yeah. Do not die by the enemy's hands. You know, like, Bonsai, yeah.
But yeah, I'm not really familiar with the Russian culture.
Most of it,
especially nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as bad as people say.
Well, I mean,
we kind of demonize it as America. They're good people.
I wouldn't think it's like still like crazy communism.
Well, I mean, now they're like technically called the Federation of Russia or something like that. Something weird. I know after like the year or something after the Soviet Union fell, they called it like the CIS for a while, and I just kept thinking of Star Wars. I was like, yes, the droidekas are over there.
The Galactic Republic.
For the Republic. Yes. But point being, like, they're kind of a scrambled country right now. Like, I know part of the culture is they refuse to admit, not everybody, of course.
Right.
But like,
yeah, when we generalize, we're just like the average.
We're just thinking,
just the average people.
I'd say a little bit less than average, but it's a loud minority.
Yeah,
like they're mainly government that will refuse to admit that the actions they did during the communistic times were wrong.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, like
they don't like to admit that their past was bad.
Yeah, so like they still have all the Soviet monuments and stuff up. They have that Lenin in the casket.
Yeah, I was about to say, isn't Lenin preserved?
Yeah, he's still preserved in the glass casket in I forget what it's called. I think he's in St. Petersburg.
Somewhere like some big city like that.
Yeah,
and you can like go and see it.
Yeah, something kind of weird is like during.
Can you imagine if we had like George Washington like?
I'd go look at it.
I mean, I'd go look at it, but like on display.
Cool. I don't know. That'd be really weird.
Yeah,
like. People, they would probably put Lincoln in there or something like that. Like, who would they put in their modern day? They're not going to put any modern presidents.
Well, from like the last 100 years.
Reagan, rather. Yeah, probably.
Maybe.
And good old Jimmy Carter, the peanut farmer from Georgia.
Yeah, I feel like it'd just be like either George Washington, Abraham Lincoln,
Reagan.
Yeah.
Or Reagan, or I don't know. I feel like they might do that because he got shot and everybody still liked him. Yeah. They're like, go Ronald Reagan. I almost said Ronald G. I don't know why. But still, wait, it's a strange concept. Like, one of the other things I know is they like changed the name of St. Petersburg during World War II because they felt it sounded too German.
Did they changed it to St. Petersburg, or
changed it from St. Petersburg, and then it got changed back later.
What was it? What did they change it to?
They changed it to Petrograd.
So like just like super Russian sounding.
Yeah, it's like Petrograd, Stalingrad.
Yeah, I was about to say like Stalingrad,
Moskva. Yeah,
or
something like. I think it's Moskva. Yeah.
Is that the translation for Moscow?
Yeah, something like that.
See, I figured that out.
Yeah, I mean that one's kind of. It's like you hear that and you're like, "What's Russian town I know? Moscow."
Russia is huge.
Russia is huge. They have their. Speaking of which, I didn't tell you this earlier. My Russian teacher was talking about the area that's basically their form of Alaska, not Siberia, but like basically touching Alaska where the land bridge was.
Yeah.
And she's like, in that area, you don't kill bears. You don't. You're not allowed to. Something like that.
Mhm.
Something along the lines of that. She was like, you have to run. They could tear up your land. You have to run. I was
What
like,
happens if you kill a bear?
I don't know. She just made it sound like it was incredibly illegal, and I was like, that sounds terrifying. Like seeing a bear in your yard, and you're just like, I can't kill it.
I mean, if I had a gun and it's like me or the bear's going down.
The bears die. Like
Yeah.
if that bear could come in your house and you just have to run. It's
That's
like,
crazy.
I don't like that thought.
What
Siberian bears.
are there gun rights in Russia?
I have no idea. I actually haven't figured that out.
I feel like I don't think there would be,
Mhm.
but I like also wouldn't be surprised if there was.
I think they have a similar press style as Florida.
What do you mean?
Like
Like releasing things
yeah,
fast?
like I know a lot of states in the United States
Oh.
try not to make themselves sound crazy, where they like we don't have it where you get censored, but they try not to show all the completely insane things that go on here.
They won't post or publish like a lot of useless things.
Yeah, like
Deemed-
Florida does.
Things
Florida
that
does
were
that.
deemed. Yeah.
It doesn't have that law.
Right.
Neither does Russia. So
makes sense.
You'll hear Russian man and like instead of Florida man. So
Yeah.
like I remember reading one of the news sites one time, and it's like, man from I'm just gonna say Moskva because I can't
Yeah.
think of it. Man from Moskva gets angry at girlfriend, sees concrete truck drive by, flags him down. I was trying to say hails and flags, so it was like flags him down, gives him money, gets him to pour concrete into her car. Like
That's intense.
he rolled down her windows and then had the concrete man pull the tube in there and put maybe a good foot of concrete in the bottom of her car.
Did the concrete man get fired?
I don't know. I didn't read the update. I was just like, bro,
Like that guy's a hero, but like I'd feel bad if he got fired.
It's pretty funny. Like
Yeah.
he got paid to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
why not?
I mean, I could think of reasons why not
I mean,
losing your job.
but he got to pour concrete in some guy's ex-girlfriend's car.
Maybe he just happened to catch the disgruntled concrete man who was looking to lose his job anyway.
He's like, I hate this job. My wife's making me angry.
I can't stand this.
And then the other guy's like, I hate my girlfriend. Pours concrete in her car. He's like, pay me. He's like, okay. It's just the perfect confluence of
just-
events.
Perfect storm.
Yeah, it's just like, now's the day.
Today's the day I finally quit this job.
Today's the day I fill a car with concrete.
I've always dreamed of this day.
Can you imagine just going to your truck, you just open the door, and there's just like a foot of concrete, and you're just like, huh.
I feel like I'd just like give up. I'd be like, okay,
Okay. Yeah, what do you do? Like,
just call somebody. Be like,
who do you call? Not Ghostbusters.
My mom. Can
Your
you
mom.
pick me up? I
Ma.
have
'Cause,
a problem.
I mean, imagine your brake pedal wouldn't work. Neither would your gas. A, you couldn't reach it, and B, you'd have to dig it out of the concrete.
Yeah, just get a pickaxe.
Yeah, you probably need more than a pickaxe.
What else would you use? A jackhammer?
A chisel and a hammer.
Like a pickaxe would be effective.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, then you'd hit the metal of your car and you just like dent it. I mean, your truck's pretty messed up by that point. The
Yeah.
suspension's probably
Yes.
screwed.
imagine like taking that to an auto. Like you somehow pickaxe it enough where you can access the
Drive.
pedals. You drive, and then like you just drive it up to the repair shop, and it's like, yeah, what's your problem, sir? Oh, it's filled with concrete.
He's like, just take the bags out, sir. No.
It's
It's
filled with concrete.
Sir, my truck. had-
Open the door.
He's like, is the concrete going to spill out? Oh, no, it won't.
No, it's fine.
It's solid. It's what? It's solid.
I have my truck is a sidewalk.
How much do you charge?
How much is this gonna cost?
Or you just say, hey, I'm leaving my truck for a tune-up. You throw him the keys and you walk out.
You don't say anything.
You just don't acknowledge the concrete.
And they do the whole like oil check and like check everything. It's like, man, this car looks fine.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, let me put some oil on the door hinge.
It's like, hey, why is it? This is kind of weird. It seems like the suspension of this truck is really weighed down right now, but there's nobody in there. You open the door. Dude, a foot of concrete weighs pretty heavy too. Like
Yeah,
across the entire floorboard.
yeah, that's like a foot.
Yeah. It's like
How
that
much does a foot weigh?
about a foot. It's like when people say, "What's heavier, a kilogram of feathers or a kilogram of bowling ball?"
It's like a pound of brick or a pound of feather.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Obviously, a pound of brick is heavier. Brick is heavier.
Obviously, right? I mean, technically, it is heavier.
No, it's not.
It's definitely heavier. If
not
I
how
throw one, it fall faster.
If I throw one, it'll fall faster.
Yeah, if you throw a brick, it'll fall faster than a feather. But that's because of
Well,
air
yeah.
resistance.
It's because of wind.
Wind, air resistance, and like the whoo,
Yeah, how the Earth be like, whoo.
Yeah, the Earth be like whoo when it sees something falling.
The Earth turns into a. The Earth runs away from the feather.
You see, the brick has speed holes.
That's a good point.
No, it does.
The Earth runs away from the feather, so it takes longer to reach the Earth because the Earth is scared of it.
Yeah, the Earth is deadly afraid of birds. Why do you think birds can fly? It's like, get off of me.
The Earth is running away from birds. They're not flying anywhere.
It runs away in every single direction at once because there's so many birds flying.
That's why it eventually touches the ground because the Earth can't escape.
It's like,
No,
no.
it gets confused.
And that's why the Earth loves that power poles were invented. Gave birds a good place to rest.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to touch it.
Yeah. Power poles are gloves for the Earth. Changed my mind.
Can you imagine if mountains? So if hypothetically the mountains are the Earth's fingers, having gloves on the mountains.
So it's like the mountains getting fumigated, pretty much.
Yeah.
If mountains are its hands, or its fingers, my bad, does that mean like the deep ocean trench is its feet? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Pretty sure those are its ears.
Its ears, right? Why? So you're telling me
What do you mean why?
whales are like screaming in its ears?
Yeah. The Earth can't stand it. That's why its ears are so full of liquid.
That's why the whales are dying out.
Okay. Because the Earth hates all the noise they make.
It's like, shut up!
What are the Earth's eyes?
Volcanoes. Its eyes are
Pretty sure those are
bleeding.
just its.
Pores.
Yeah, I was about to say its pores, or like maybe its nostrils.
Its nostril. It's got a runny nose.
Yeah.
It gets a runny nose every 100
Well,
years.
it's been clogged up for a while. Most of them.
It's got all the sinuses clogged up, and that's where all the volcanic acid is. Volcanic acid.
Volcanic.
Acid.
Mac.
Juice.
Volcano.
Pee.
Volcano.
Liquid.
Uh.
Okay, moving on. Volcano.
Lava.
Lava. That's good. We're like volcano juice.
I was like volcano magma. I was like, that's not right.
What's the Earth's mouth? It's not its mouth. It's its mouth.
It's the Grand Canyon.
Why is it dry?
It's got dry mouth problems.
For what? It's got a lot of weed on the planet, man.
I don't know. It just hasn't been having a great diet recently.
I mean, didn't the Grand Canyon get whittled down from like just a river over time?
Yeah, it's just water erosion.
Yeah, so like, it just sucked all its spit out, man.
It's just been
Whittled down. You know when you have a bunch of spit in your mouth and you keep swallowing it, but then you have like no more spit? That's the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
So, can't even deny it. See?
Yeah.
It's just true.
Glad
Glad we narrowed that down.
glad we had that conversation.
I mean, I feel like it was very productive.
If you're talking about not the etymology, but the
biographical map of the Earth. Are we stupid? Why can't we talk today?
It's a word. It's
Asymptomatic.
not entomology.
Aptomology.
Not anthropology.
Archaeology.
Not archaeology. It's the anatomy. Anatomy of the Earth. Goodness, I was like, could not think of the word.
It's all that Japanese.
I was like, I know it's a college class. I mean, not a college class. Just like, I know it's a class. It's a subject. It's an A word.
Speaking of language, which is what this
Speaking
conversation
of language. Yes.
This conversation started up. Are there any words in Japanese that just outright confuse you? Like you read them and you're like, this makes no sense.
There's been some words that are like extremely specific that like we have no word for in English. Like the closest, like an example of this in English is the word defenestration. It's my favorite word.
Defenestration.
It means the act of throwing someone or something out of a window.
That is incredibly specific. And they have a Japanese word for that?
No, that was
Oh,
just
other
like
way around.
no, it's like an example of an extremely specific word. That's
Yeah.
like they have a lot of those in Japanese.
I don't like that. Although I'm thinking about... You made me think of something. I'm trying to remember the word. Keep going.
Okay, so in the other day I was listening. I'll talk about my approach to Japanese learning in a minute. But the other day I was listening to some Japanese, and I heard the word fudan, which is like what you do. It's like your usual routine. That's a normal word.
Yeah, it sounds like futon.
Yeah, very similar. Has nothing to do with futon.
Everyday routine, futon.
Oh, yes, of course. Thank you. Anyway, so it's like your usual routine, and I looked up this word to like see the kanji that it's like that you use for it, and like
I just wanted you to know you sounded very Japanese when you said that. The rest of your sentence is normal. You're like, I looked up the kanji. I was like, whoa.
I didn't say it like that.
Yes, you did.
Okay. Anyway, so I looked up the Japanese letter, and there I saw another word called fudanshi, which is it means that a man that is like obsessed with homosexual like erotica, usually targeted towards women.
So he likes yaoi.
Yeah, but it's like it's even more specific than that because it's like a man that's obsessed with homosexual erotica that's targeted at women.
That's very specific. That is incredibly
I was
specific.
like, why is this a word?
What is that? Like, was that a problem that they had to
Like-
make a word for it?
Like it was one word. It's like it means all of this. It means this paragraph.
That's a pretty long definition, too,
Yeah.
right?
I
What the
need
heck?
to look it up again and find like the exact definition.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll talk about mine real quick. So, one of the weird things about Russian is they kind of have the, not pitch accent isn't the word I'm looking for, but depending on which vowel you accent in the word, it can mean different things. So, there is a word that breaks that rule, and for some reason, it is very confusing to foreigners. It's all about context. You just have to know what the person's talking about. It's the word look. You know, right? What does that sound like?
Look.
It sounds like look, right? It can mean look, because like a lot of foreigners that speak English come to Russia, right? So it's used interchangeably that way. But the word can also mean onion, and it can also mean bow. So when I'm reading a sentence, it said, "Hey." When I read it, what I read was, "Hey, onion at my haircut," and I was like, onion my haircut, man. I was like, how do I
Dude, onion.
onion?
Onion over there, dude.
It's like, dude, look at onion over there, man. Onion at the horizon. Dude, onion that sunset. The medieval knights, onion at the enemy.
When you
Draw
say
their onions.
when you said context, that made me in Japanese. It's very annoying how much of it is context based.
Mm-hmm.
They like in some of the grammar books they try to describe it as ping pong. So like you say the subject once.
Oh.
And like so if you were talking about you would say I at the start of the conversation and then you wouldn't say it again. Either of you.
I don't like that. No.
You only like say the subject the first time and like when it changes.
Why? No.
They say it's like ping pong.
That kind of makes sense. Like, I get where it's coming from. You wouldn't just, like, if you and I were having a conversation, that would be like, you're saying, I'm going to the store, and you'd be like, going to the store?
Yeah.
It's like...
But it's like even more annoying than that.
That's weird. I don't like that. That's why I like the thing I was telling you before, how Russian has, like, you have to conjugate a lot of things, but because of that, you could put things in any order, and it'll make sense.
That's nice.
Yeah. Cat chases mouse. But you could say mouse chases cat, and it would still mean the cat chases the mouse.
How would you know that the
endings?
like, okay, the conjugations tell you.
So like, got, katka, baba, katoi, kataka,
Yeah.
Katoi is it when I just did that.
I believed you.
But I think they also have like the male and female versions too of some words. Like
Yeah.
kat is male and katkushka is female cat. It's like, why? Why
Wow.
this? Yeah, oh yeah, it's weird and complicated.
A lot of times in Japanese, like it's just that males and females use different endings. Like,
Yeah.
They like if you asked a female like "O genki desu ka?" or like "How are you doing?"
Yeah.
they would say like "O genki," whereas a male would probably say "Genki da yo."
Yeah, and see, like that's kind of weird to me, but we don't have the equivalent of that in English. I don't think we do anyway. They might respond differently, but it doesn't have to do with gender.
Yeah, well, like as when you're a male or a female listening to Japanese or like Spanish, you have to learn how to talk like a male or female if that's what you want to sound like.
Which is
whereas
weird.
in English, you wouldn't really have
just
to
speak.
Yeah, you just speak English because there's not the few differences there are. They're very minute.
Yeah, and then there's the weird part of like sometimes Americans will just refer to something like it has a gender even though it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get this old guy talking about his truck. He's like, "Yeah, she's mine."
Old Betsy.
Old Betsy ain't failed me.
I would hate to have to try to learn English as a second language.
Oh, dude, that would suck. Like, I think Russian's confusing, but this, at least when they have letters, they pronounce them. We just have so many ridiculous rules.
And like the pronunciation of English, like if you're reading English, the pronunciation of it like makes no sense half the time.
Yeah, and you're like,
you just kind of have to know it. Like thought, thorough, rough.
Yeah, tough.
Yeah.
Toof.
Like red, bat.
Don't forget there.
Oh yeah, there, your.
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. Like it makes no sense. That's why I don't like make fun of my boss. Because like my manager and my boss at my work are Indian. You know, like English is not their first language. Even though I learned this, my manager was an English teacher in India.
Nice.
Which kind of
worries
me a little bit.
A lot of Americans are going to the JET program, which is Japanese English teacher. So they like go teach English in Japan for a couple years.
Yeah, which is kind of strange. Like, why all of a sudden are they doing that? I mean, you have to know Japanese to do that.
You have to be decent in Japanese. You don't have to be amazing in Japanese.
I mean, I'd say
because, like, from what I've heard about, like, the English teachers in Japan, it's like you saying a couple sentences and be like, "Say this." It's like pretty easy stuff.
Yeah, but how do you explain to them what they're saying, or they just say it?
I mean, you have to know some Japanese, but it's not super rigorous from what I understand.
That's fair, but I mean, I just think that's kind of strange. Like, I wouldn't like that.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. I mean, Japanese people kind of suck at English, so I mean, I guess you kind of don't have that much expectation put on you.
Yeah, I don't know. That's one of those things where I think you both need to learn a good amount to like completely understand each other. Because I mean, we have Spanglish. I mean, that's a thing pretty much in the United States at this point, at least in the South. So it makes me wonder. Do they call it Japanglish or something? With like when you throw like some pieces of each in between.
Yeah, but me and most Japanese people don't do that. Like literally, like 90. Like our Spanish is probably on the same level as most Japanese people's English.
Yeah, I mean, which is the problem. Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of a problem because like English is really important. Like as
I mean. That's the same like Russian people would say that about Russian because I mean they got all the countries around them that they conquered at some point.
But like when Japanese, like we could travel anywhere in the world and like 99% chance we're gonna be fine speaking English.
That's fair.
Whereas like if Japanese people ever want to leave Japan, they can't speak Japanese or like.
Oh, I see what you're getting at.
Like,
yeah.
The only place you speak Japanese is Japan, and
you
like
go to Russia. Actually.
A couple weird towns in Australia.
Yeah, weird towns in Australia. Why you say that?
There are a lot of Japanese people in Australia.
Really?
Yeah.
I know in Hawaii too, actually.
I didn't know that.
Hawaii is like...
But like if they want to get a job anywhere else, then like you need to learn English.
That's
probably.
Fair. So I guess a lot of them don't move out of country.
Yeah.
It's like...
There's not a lot... Even today, there's not very many foreigners compared to other countries. Like America, like we walk outside and there's no expectation to what type of people we'll see. Like... We kind of are just used to seeing pretty much every type of person, where that's not the case at all in Japan.
So, like, they see somebody who's not Japanese, and they're like, whoa.
Well, especially in, like, the countryside.
Yeah.
In Tokyo, it's a little different.
Yeah.
But, and it's slowly getting more and more foreigners, but, like, even still in the countryside of Japan, a lot of times if you're a foreigner, they'll, like, people will be like, look, a foreigner. Not in, like, a bad way, but...
Look, different.
Yeah.
Which I feel like that'd be kind of weird because I mean, we live in a white majority country, so I mean, it'd be like going somewhere. It would just feel different because I would not be used to it.
Yeah,
and it's like I'm the different one here.
Yeah,
it's like that's kind of strange.
This isn't normal.
This is
Or
weird.
like, could you imagine like a Hispanic person walks into your place of work and everybody goes, look.
Look, Hispanic man.
Like, that's just not something that happens.
Yeah. And like, even then, because I mean, we do this. We're not perfect people. Sometimes after people leave, we'll talk about them. You know.
Well,
just,
it's like,
it's human. So it
but-
makes me wonder, like, if when you walk away, they're like, dude,
you see that white dude?
Yeah.
They probably are.
Yeah. I mean,
Usually not in a bad way, though.
yeah. I'd be like, I bet his name is Joseph or something.
I bet that guy's name Will.
Because I mean, we do that. People at work will do that. Rather, they'll be like, there's this guy that comes in. He works for a painter's business. He's a super nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
Still have no idea what his name is, and we kind of have a guessing game about it.
Yeah.
It's like he's clearly a Mexican man. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to say this without it sounding offensive because I don't mean for it to.
Right. Now.
So like he comes in, we're like, oh, well, he has a big black
The
mustache.
stereotypical
No, it looks like Mario. Like the
handlebar.
Let's go,
Handlebar.
Yeah. So we call him Mario. And like if somebody heard that and they didn't know that we liked this guy, we were kidding.
Right.
It's just one of those things. It's like I wonder if they say that stuff about us. Like
yeah.
look, yeah, like you said, it's Will.
It's like how when I go to a new place, I fully expect people to comment on my hair.
Oh yeah. Like when we went to the cookies place and they were like, I want to touch your hair.
Dude, have I told that story on the podcast? No. Okay, so background on me and my hair. I'm pretty used to people commenting on my hair.
Yeah.
Or most people like it or don't say anything. I've had a couple of people that outright hate it and tell me they hate it.
Really?
Yeah. But anyway, and I've had people ask to touch my hair because, as you can see, it's very voluminous.
But what?
Voluminous.
I don't know if that's a word.
It is a word.
Really?
Guaranteed.
I mean, I believe you. I just really thought you were going to say voluptuous, and
No,
I was going to get
voluminous.
uncomfortable. Voluminous.
My coworker told me that my hair was looking very voluminous the other day.
And you were like, thank you.
But anyway.
And then you looked up what that word meant afterward?
No, I already knew what it was.
Oh, my bad.
Anyway, so it's not weird for someone to ask to touch my hair at this point. And like, so me and Garrett were going to Insomnia Cookies. It was like 1 or 2 a.m.
2.
And so we're in line when we pick out our cookies, and this lady behind the desk says, "Oh my goodness, I love your hair. Can I touch your hair?" And I'm like thinking, sure, like this is normal at this point. I'm not weirded out. And like most people when I touch their hair, if like this part of the mic stand is me, they're like, "Oh, it's so nice."
Kind of pet it or
It's
something.
like, it's like, "Oh, thank you." And it's like, that's so sweet. But like if this is my head and like I'm facing me, it was like,
yeah, that was the best. I remember
like
that.
it was like her face was like 4 inches away from my eyes.
And you're underplaying it too, because I was watching it, right? Like
I'm
she was on the other side of the like it's shaped like an H, kind of.
Yeah.
The building we entered into. So the counter is right at the middle of the H. I say that it's like you can walk on the left side of the H and the counter is behind the right. And she's on all the way to the other side of the building, and she like sees his head, and she's like, if you've ever seen that video of the guy on the plane that's like, I want to shake your hand.
Yeah, it was like that.
It was like she was so loud. She was like, "Oh boy, I want to touch your hair." It was like 2 a.m. We're just like, what just happened?
But yeah, when she touched my hair, it was like, it's like she sandwiched my head in between her palms, and like our eyes were like 4 inches apart. And I'm glad that we had masks on
This was
because
an alpha move.
I had no idea what my facial expression was in that moment. I was like,
I would have been terrified. I'd be like, you were touching my face too much, lady.
it was like she was trying to squish my brain.
She's like, you will not survive.
And I was just like nervous laughing the whole time.
I don't know.
Also, a lot of older black women like to tell me what products I should use in my hair. They'll be like, I know what you need.
You need you. I don't know.
This what random brand of hair product. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's okay. It's always like, it's never white people that come up to you and they're like, I want to touch your hair. At least not as much.
Not near as much.
And I think that's funny.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like, if there was a ratio, usually like black women are like the majority of people who comment on my hair.
Yeah. Like I'd say like a good 75% just from like what I've seen.
Yeah. It's like black women and then white women Usually not Hispanic women. I don't think I've had very many Hispanic women.
They just don't
comment
care.
on
What about Asian women?
But the weirdest part, like the few times it's been a guy, makes me feel really weird.
He's
Like,
staring
dude,
at
I
your
like
hair.
your hair, and I'm like, thanks.
Like, I don't want to be complimented by a man.
I know, it just kind of makes me feel weird.
I mean, that's fair. Shoot, what was it? Like, I don't know how to describe this, but when I was driving to campus today, I noticed something very weird. Like, I'd say for every 10 girls I saw on campus, there was like 3 dudes. And I thought this was pretty strange. Like, it caught my attention, and I don't know if it's like my brain just filtering out the men.
I was about to say, I was like, maybe you're just noticing the women.
No, it wasn't even like a perverted way either. It's
Yeah.
just like, this is what I happened to notice. I was like, this is weird. Because I always see these big groups of women, and then it's like 1 or 2 dudes just straggled in
Maybe
like
it's
some
because
random direction.
just the women travel in packs.
They travel in packs. So that's
That is-
also what I thought. I was
yeah.
like, why are they in these big groups? I was like, what is up with this? It's like you're walking
and
to
then
different
travel
classes.
alone.
Yeah, they're solo hunters. Well, it was such a strange thing to notice, though.
Were there a lot of people on campus? I haven't been on
There
campus.
was a pretty decent amount. None that like I ran any over, but like
Well, I'm glad you didn't run anybody
yeah,
over.
you know what I mean? None where it was like close to where I like could possibly hit somebody.
Right.
Except for this one dude who like was like, it's a green light, I'm just gonna walk. Well, there's people like he just committed.
You just took off.
And I was like, no, he just slow walked like a granny. I was like, man, this guy he doesn't care. And then he looked at me and was just kind of, I looked him in the eye. We just had eye contact and he just kept going. He just tried to pull an alpha move on me. But it's just such a strange thing. Like, even with everything going on, there are so many people walking around.
Yeah, I feel like it's big possibility we go back to just online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with that. I mean, I pretty much am only online at this point. Other
Yeah.
than that one class.
Yeah, I have one class where I have to go in.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds about right. Isn't it your piano?
Yeah,
I
piano.
almost said piano.
Yeah, my class piano.
Yeah, it's so exciting. You're going to walk in, he's going to be like, hit the C key.
It's gonna be like play a middle C.
Ding. Play a middle D. Ding.
Yeah, my music fundamentals class was like, is this note higher than that one? Bing bong.
Yeah, you were telling me that
I was
earlier.
like-
I was like, this is great.
Yeah, it was like point up or point down, and everybody in the
Oh,
class was
boy.
like,
Were they excited looking?
no.
I was about to say.
They're like,
For some reason I noticed this is like, since I have the Russian class every day, there was like 2 people that were in different rooms, and I was like, you're not just gonna sit in the same place every day? Because one of them went from sitting at a desk to like doing a weird position like this on the floor. I was like,
I kind of want to like. It would be weird to like dress in super like a different costume every time. They had
Costume?
yeah, that would be fun.
What?
And just not say anything. Oops.
Just be like, what are you talking about? This is my normal clothes.
Like just be in a ninja outfit. Just
Go as a different ninja
sitting
turtle
in
every day.
music fundamentals.
Just pull the hood over. But how would a ninja hood work with your head?
It doesn't.
Yeah, it'd just be puffy.
It doesn't.
It's like,
That's exactly how.
no. That would be such a interesting sight to see. I need to buy you a ninja hood.
I should just like put on a hoodie for my class tomorrow morning
Be like,
and
"Who
have
are
it
you?"
where my hair is like on my hood.
Yeah, it's just like, you look like an Eskimo. Like, you know how they have the hair like frayed around the frayed? You know what I meant?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just around the hood like that, and it's just like, it's just your hair. If you ever like shave your head, you need to save it and like stitch it into something. Like, you could make a scarf out of your hair probably. Like, that sounds weird, but I guarantee you could.
I wouldn't want a Wesley hair scarf.
Why not? You just like shampoo it down, and then it's all soft and smooth and wouldn't be itchy.
It'd still be weird though.
Yeah.
You give it to as a gift to someone. Would you
Give
like
it to your wife.
take this scarf made of my own hair?
This is made of my own hair, wife. Here.
You're completely bald while you're presenting it.
She's like, why'd you shave your head? And it's just like,
I made you this.
here.
I sewed it myself.
This is made from my own body.
I have sewn it myself.
So you reap the seeds that I have sown. I don't know. It's like the seeds were your hair, and you reap.
So how are we learning languages?
We were supposed to talk about this 45 minutes ago. I mean, I don't really care. We've just been
Anyway.
going. Yeah. Go ahead.
So the way I started learning Japanese like a year and a half ago, and
Roughly,
yeah, I wish I was doing what I was doing now then.
I mean, that's usually how it goes.
Yeah. But I started like with super basic like weird apps on your phone, and then a couple months into that I did Pimsleur, which I really liked Pimsleur. I think Pimsleur is a really good introduction to a language. I don't think I should have wasted the time and done all of Pimsleur like I did. I think that was like kind of a waste after the first 2 units of Pimsleur. For those who don't know, Pimsleur is like you have 30-minute lessons every day that are like a conversation based. So you'll hear a conversation in your target language for like the first minute, and then by the end of the lesson, the goal is to be able to understand that conversation.
Okay, yeah.
So I think it's a really good introduction, even though now I kind of buy into the early output is not really that great, but I still would say that it's a very good introduction to just like hearing it and like being able to parse the language, as one would say.
Yeah.
And then after that, I did that for a long time while what was I doing while I was doing that?
I mean, I know for a while you had a lot of you bought that book for the kanji, and then you just kept writing them down in that one journal to try to practice the strokes.
Yeah, I started doing RTK, which RTK is, I have it right here, actually.
That says practical jazz.
I have that too. We can talk about jazz.
No, I'm good.
But yeah, I was doing this book, which this is a great book. Amazing. But
Yeah.
I didn't do it right the first
What do you mean you didn't do it
the
right?
first time through. Or because the way I'm doing it now involves using it with an SRS, which I wish that's what I was doing
Oh, okay. So you
When I-
spaced repetition, yeah.
when I was first doing it. But if anyone's learning Japanese, this book
Any of you out there?
along with an SRS is amazing. But what I'm doing now is called it's from the MIA approach, or
MIA
It's from
approach?
MIA. The MIA is the mass immersion approach, not missing in action.
Yeah, I was about to say, I never noticed how much that sounds like missing an act.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you do if you really immerse. You're
Yeah,
just
if
missing.
if you're doing it right, then
Yeah.
you're missing in action.
They're
But,
like, where did he go? And he's like, Nihon.
on the MIA website, it has a SRS deck for RTK, but it's a little different. It's only 1,200 kanji only.
Only. I was about to say, I can't even memorize two.
But it's a little different, and I'm currently doing that. So, but like usually the recommendation for Japanese that I would give now is either do what I'm doing now or do regular RTK with the deck with the SRS.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was doing RTK at that point. I just heard
I don't
a
know
really
what that
weird
was.
noise.
Was that Gizmo?
No, that was like a
Hey, baby.
anyway.
Yeah.
I was doing RTK, going through Pimsleur, and then I had Anki on my phone, which is an SRS.
good old
I've been
Anki.
saying SRS like 100 times without
Yeah,
saying
that
what it
sounds
is.
like a disease.
SRS is Spaced Repetition System. It's any program that lets you use flashcards that are spaced out using an algorithm. So it's like you answer a card and you say whether it was easy, hard, or good. There's
Yeah.
like 4 options actually, but to fix the algorithm, you don't want to use the hard option. You want to use the one that's furthest on the left in Anki, but not the one right next to it. Anyway,
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
but yeah, I was using Anki for some vocabulary stuff, which I've stopped using the deck that was on my phone now, because what I'm doing now is building a much better Anki deck than what I was doing then. So going over those reviews is kind of a waste of time now.
Yeah.
But I was doing that, and then later, like 2 or 3 months ago, I started meeting with a Japanese teacher, which he's not Japanese, he's a British guy, but
there's a
has
little
really
more
good
of that.
Japanese. So what I'm doing now is the mass immersion approach. So for reps and practice, I'm doing Anki on my computer, doing RTK, which is on Anki on my computer, and right now I'm going through a deck that's core 2000 vocab and building my own Anki deck before I start really digging into sentence mining. I want to finish RTK first.
Yeah.
And then meeting with my Japanese teacher, And for grammar, I'm using Tay Kim's Grammar Guide, which is a specific book for Japanese. I've jumped around with different grammar things trying to find what I really like. So this is just kind of what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And then the main thing about MIA/AJAT, AJAT is what MIA was built from. MIA just has more resources and details about how to go about the process.
Okay. Yeah.
AJAT's kind of more broad. AJAT's like, only do Japanese stuff. Have fun. AJAT's like, do RTK, use the SRS, only do Japanese things. Bye. MIA kind of has more
I mean, he's got a point,
resources.
though. I guess, like, if you solely dedicate yourself to something like that, it'll make things a lot easier.
Oh, yeah.
To learn, rather.
So MIA kind of takes the AJAT method and makes it a little more scientific, provides a little more details, and is a little less extreme. Not in the sense that you're less dedicated, but like in the sense that AJAT tells you to only eat with chopsticks.
What? Does it really?
That is literally in an article. He's like, if you're eating ice cream or cake, eat it with chopsticks.
How do you eat ice cream with chopsticks? It's not in cubes, like.
But if it's solid, you could eat it in chopsticks.
Yeah, but then you're just like squeezing the chopsticks.
Can you imagine you're sitting at a table and your friend pulls out chopsticks?
I can imagine you doing that.
Why would you say that?
Because I can see you doing that. You'd be like, you would just sit there.
You're supposed to say, "Wow, that's crazy." I
No,
can't imagine that.
I can see like us going to Mr. G's or something, and you're like, "I got spaghetti," and then you just slowly pull out a pair of chopsticks from your backpack, and
we get pizza. We get pizza, and I just like pull out my chopsticks.
You pull out a chopstick and you tear it with your hands, and then you just like chopstick it up into your mouth.
I can use chopsticks pretty well, though.
I mean, you have to. It's part of learning Japanese.
Oh yeah.
You have to be able to chopstick efficiently.
But yeah, both the thing the methods share is like immersion is the number one thing, and I've been really dedicated to this for like the past week-ish.
The past week.
Pretty much. I mean, I was doing immersion before, but like I just hadn't come across the method and hadn't really thought about it like this. So I can't really share how much this specific method has impacted me yet, but I will in the future. But yeah, so it's immersion, literally as much as humanly possible. AJAT says, like, only do things in English when you pretty much have to. MIA is kind of like you can give yourself a break, but also like hours and hours of immersion every day. So, but it sounds terrible, and it is. But it's not.
That's not a good selling
It's a little more bearable. I mean, you have to be dedicated to this kind of method.
It's just the way you said it. It's like, and it's terrible. It sounds terrible. It is.
But it's a little more bearable than you think at first glance, because it's literally like take all the media you consume and all the fun you have in English, and just do it in Japanese or do it in your target language.
Yeah.
And like, it does suck. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not great, especially when you're first starting out, but it's doable for a lot more people than you would think. Like, if you really are you really focused on your target language, even if you're not doing all the grammar stuff and all the SRS, or not doing it near as much, just changing, like, you don't really realize how much time you spend like just consuming media. Like, a busy person still carves out time to unwind and relax. And if you're just doing that in your target language, then you can make a lot of progress.
I can agree with that. It is you definitely put a lot more time into, like, I mean, we're all English speakers, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff you do is in English, like whether it be you read, whether it be you browse social media. Like, I play a lot of games, right? And I didn't realize just how much English is in those until I started changing it over to Russian. Yeah. Like, I haven't even been doing it for like nearly as long as you have. And there's still words that, like, I've noticed I've started picking up better because I've heard it. So like, it'll be something, they're explaining something to me and they'll be like, "Eta blah 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 harasho blah blah blah."
Yeah, you're picking up pieces.
I'm like, okay, that good. What does that mean? That good. You know, it's like they said something in between, but I know the premise is something is good. So it's like,
I mean, there's the MIA AJAT, and then that was built from Anti-Moon, which is a group of Polish people who learned English and then wrote a site in English on how to learn English. Pretty cool. But like, all this is based off a linguist named Stephen Krashen, who like basically proposed that like everybody acquires language the same. Like your brain is a system that can figure out a language if given enough exposure, pretty much.
Okay.
Similar to how you learned your native language. Now, whether it's exactly the same is people have different views on that.
Yeah. I mean, I think definitely when we get older,
Mm-hmm.
like obviously I'm thinking far ahead when I say this, but you need to expose like kids to more than just your native language, honestly. Like,
Yeah. Well, and people say like, man, I could never learn Spanish or whatever language, but then they don't stop and think about like how long it really took them to learn their native language, because like babies are effectively immersing in English for thousands and thousands of hours.
Oh yeah, I mean they have to, otherwise they won't know how to communicate. And even then, babies don't say that much. I mean, they're like, they say something like bacon.
They figure out how to listen before they really figure out how to speak. Like they can understand. Like if you've interacted with a baby, you can realize that they understand a lot before they even know how to say much. You know?
I mean, they're basically just mute. I mean, that's all it is. You find somebody who's mute, that doesn't mean they don't know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Deaf, two different things.
Yeah. Just back to the like how you can spend your free time in your L2 or target language.
Yeah.
It's a lot of MIA and HATs. Like, if you aren't being forced to use your native language, why not just do it in your L2, which is a painful process. Don't get me wrong, but it helps a lot.
Yeah. And like, be careful what or like what applications, sites, or whatever you use for learning that language too. Because I'm not saying necessarily you'll get something bad out of it.
There's a lot of ripoffs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of books or sites that like say learn Japanese or learn Spanish. Those are probably the two examples I'll go to.
Learn them in 30 days.
Like, learn it in 3 months and you'll be able to talk with a native speaker or like something like that.
Yeah,
there's a lot of ripoffs out there.
None of those are good, and like even sites that are
put together,
well rated, I guess. Like I would say, do not use Duolingo to use Russian. Learn Russian, or like you gotta be specific about it.
The people that are rating a lot of these
Duolingo
user-friendly sites or products highly are like your moms that like, oh, I learned how to say this is a pen. Or like where's the bathroom in Spanish, I learned that and it was great.
Well, like when I was looking at the reviews for Russian and Duolingo, right, almost everybody who reviewed it was a native Russian speaker. You see the problem there? It's like, well, of course they're like, yeah, it's easy, this is simple, it's like it's not complicated stuff, and it takes a while to ramp up, so that's probably good. No.
Duolingo is just bad.
It is, but honestly, still,
it's like a bad flashcard system, basically.
And then it allows you to click on the words too easily, so you can get really lazy with it and just kind of.
Yeah, just click on the answers. And, it's also to take into consideration, like most people who start to pursue learning a language will never reach fluency.
Oh yeah.
And
some people don't want to. Not that they don't want to, but like...
some people have the goal of just, I want to survive, or I want to know the survival phrases. But a lot of people will be like, a lot of people like I've heard Matt versus Japan, he's one of the founders of MIA, speak about this, is like how people have fluency as like, it's like a place you reach and then you're there. As like a monolingual person, it's really hard to quantify that like your language, your English language could get better or worse. Like it's weird to quantify that because you're just so not used to the process of trying to learn another language.
Yeah.
That like fluency isn't a place where you get to and you're like, all right, now I'm perfect and I'm done. Like, and that's really not a place you're at in English. You just can't really realize that.
Because I mean, like, think about all the technical terms you don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I'd want to get to the point where, when I say this, it's going to sound cocky.
Yeah.
I want to sound just as intelligent in English as I do in Russian. Or vice versa, you know what I mean? Because I don't want to seem like I'm stupid just because I don't know how to speak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that sounds...
You want to be able to say
convey
everything you want to say. Just like you want to be able to express yourself as much as you could in your native language.
See,
Yeah.
Like, that's why I was like, I
See,
this is
like
gonna sound bad.
I just expressed what he meant.
Exactly. You know, he's clearly better at English than I am.
I probably am worse at English.
Yeah.
Who of us is better at English?
What?
I
Who of
said,
us?
who of us is better at English?
I think I throw more words out there. What I don't
You
know if
throw
that's
them and see if they stick.
yeah. I think I just kind of go with it.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think I do that very much.
I don't really care if I look stupid in English because it's like that's why do I care? This is my native language.
That's also one thing I've heard people talk about. It's like when you make a mistake in your native language, it's like, oh, whatever. But if you're trying to speak your target language and you make a mistake, you're like, frick.
Yeah, dang it! Yeah,
It's like, man, I suck.
yeah. That's how I felt when I changed some of my games over, and it'd be like, oh, this says audio, and then like I look at the sliders, I'm like, okay, this is clearly video. You know,
Yeah.
it's one of those things. It's like, dang it! It's like I thought I had it.
And like as you learn a language more and more, or like have been learning for a year or so, like I have, and you like start to try to actually speak to people, and like there's a word for the curve or whatever, the Dunning-Kruger curve
Don't
or
look at
whatever.
me.
Anyway, like you
Ooh,
like you're learning a ton. It's like, man, I'm really starting to get this, and then you try to speak to someone, and you realize you're like,
I don't know anything.
It's like I am so stupid.
Yeah, because you're like, man, I know how to say, can I go to the bathroom? Where's the bank? Where's all
Yeah.
this stuff? And then they're like,
I got this.
then they say something.
They
It's
say like one sentence, and you're like,
what does this mean?
Yeah.
What is language? Like, did you finish your algebra homework at school? And you're like, did I school?
Did I homework school? When?
What does this mean? And that's especially confusing when you try to like, I know from what I've been reading is a lot of problems people have when it comes to speaking their second language is they don't think in it.
Yeah.
So they try to manually translate everything, which adds like a second layer.
Yeah.
Of, dude, the thunder ain't gonna kill you. You're like looking at it with terror.
How am I looking at the thunder
just
with
like-
this?
Looking at, I can see your eyes flicking to the window, just like.
I think you're just looking at my eyes more than normal. I look around a lot.
Oh, that's fair. All right, just aggressive eye contact. All right, so, well, like people just don't think in their second language. It's like you need to think in that language while
Yeah.
you're speaking in it, or else you're just gonna stutter. You're gonna stumble.
Yeah.
Like when you see like this is not directed at anybody when I say this, but like if you have somebody who speaks Spanish as their first language and you hear them say, or like they stutter a lot. Maybe that means they haven't got to that point where they think
Yeah.
of it and they just haven't. They've never tried to. It's like
Yeah.
they don't need to.
It's a skill that like speaking. Like I'm not even at the point where I want to practice my speaking that much, but I have done a decent amount of it because I take lessons, and then for my for college I had to do a oral test in Japanese, like where we just had a conversation. But it's a learning process. Like you have to. Speaking is a skill that you need to practice in itself within learning a language. Within understanding, you have to then practice speaking. It's not like I understand the language and now I'm good to go.
I'm good to go. This is me. I can speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that, that's just not something you think about because,
Oh yeah.
growing up, you practice speakering
Well,
when
when
you were
you
like 3.
Well, when you speak English, like you're not thinking about anything. Like that's when you know you're really good at a language. It's like when you're just speaking.
You're just talking. Like, I think it's strange to think that my brain just feels empty right now. Like I'm thinking, but like I'm not like I don't have to visualize the word.
Yeah. Like I don't have to think about what I'm saying right now in order to speak it like I want to speak it.
Yeah, it's just the words come out, and
Although
I expect you to get it.
Although I did have to think about that to say it in the correct order.
Yeah. Well, that's one of those weird things. Like how often do we say I have to think about what I'm speaking before I speak it? But this time I don't have to think about what I'm speaking before I speak it.
But did you just think about that?
I didn't actually. At least not while I was saying it. Maybe some forethought. But
And it's weird how we're able to internalize grammar rules. Like an example I've seen used is like, do you know why why it's called the big red dog?
Oh yeah, I was talking about this.
The red big dog.
And it's like there's some kind of weird,
There's a
crazy order.
adjective order.
Yeah, and it's like
I never knew about it, but
yeah,
I've been following.
I showed you that. Yeah. Yeah. It was something like size, color, something, and then it goes all the way down to opinion.
Yeah.
So if you say the big red stupid dog, it's like the dog is stupid. But if you say the stupid big red dog, it's like you don't like the dog. You think you hate it. And it's like, what?
Yeah, this language be weird.
Yeah, and it's like that got discovered by a lot of people who teach English as a second language to other people. Like, wait. Like they're teaching
learning English?
No. Like they're American. They go to Russia. They teach Russian.
People asking a question, like asking how does this work?
Yeah, it's like not that they ask. It's just like it was Japanese for the example, right? They were in Japan. They were teaching English, right? And they came up to, they were reading this something, and they showed them a picture. Like, what is this? And they're like, oh, red big dog. And he's like, no. And they're like,
why?
Why? It's like, it's like, I don't know. It's like, it just sounds wrong.
Yeah, that's one of the people use that kind of thing as reasons why native speakers aren't always the greatest teachers. You want someone who like acquired the language for a teacher, not like a conversation partner. But like for someone that acquired the language themselves, because like a native English speaker can't explain to you why the red big dog is wrong. Yeah.
Like people would get what you're saying.
People will be like, that's wrong. And then you'd be like, why? And it'd be like, I don't know, but it's wrong.
I don't like it, son.
That ain't it?
That ain't it. I don't get why. I just know that's wrong. Fix it.
Don't say that.
It's like, stop. But it's a strange thing to think about.
I wish that everybody made an effort to acquire a second language, or at least learn enough like survival skills in a second language.
Why don't we just... Okay, when I say this, it's going to sound stupid. We're like, we should almost have another Tower of Babel-esque situation where we all try to make like a common...
I've thought about that. Like, what if
I think it
would the world...
That's why I said common.
Yeah. Would the world ever progress to the point where, like, since English is the lingua franca, like linguish...
Yes. Linguish. What do you
Linguish.
Speak? I speak linguish.
So English is the language of government, is the language of business worldwide. Would it ever like progress where you have this language where it's just like pretty much everybody speaks this and everything else is kind of useless?
Yeah. I mean, in the Eastern Bloc, English is just like not a thing.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. China is the second biggest, or maybe the first.
It depends on where you go.
Depending on population.
Yeah, population, it's the biggest, but countrywide, no.
Yeah, like as far as number of speakers, it's the most. Mandarin Chinese.
Mandarin, I think.
It's either 1 or 2 on English.
It's one. Okay. English is second.
But because China is like in its own bubble, pretty much, then it's never going to be the lingua franca. Yeah. Probably.
But what I was saying earlier, like Russian is actually the lingua franca in the Eastern Bloc. Like all the countries that they had once dominated as a part of the Soviet Union, like they all have their own language, but they also
Ukraine,
speak Russian.
Yeah, Ukraine,
Poland,
like all of those people speak Russian.
Yeah, which is interesting, but like strange. I don't know how to put it. It's just like
I wish that like Spanish was stressed more in the United States, because like most people outside of the U.S. are like 70 or 80% are bilingual, but then like inside the U.S. it's like 70 or 80% are monolingual. Yeah, only English.
Like they showed, we were looking at that chart that one time, and it's like it was a percentage out of 100, but they wrote it as 1.2, no 2 languages, like or languages known per person, and like Britain was like 1.2 languages known, France was like 1.5, America was 0.92, and I was like, how do we have? Some
people don't know any or don't know English that well.
Yeah, that was just a strange thing, though. It's like they don't even know. It's just a weird thing to think about. Like,
I mean, the funny part is that that's also true in Japan, is that most people only speak Japanese, but like in most other countries.
Yeah, they definitely got a little more screwed with the only Japanese thing.
Yeah, the only speaking Japanese in today's world is like that's not
dangerous.
That is like not good if you want to go.
You get lost anywhere, you were screwed.
You want to go anywhere out like vacationing anywhere.
You can't go to America because people will be like, "You speaking Chinese?" You know, it's like or
well, my mom like my parents know that I'm learning Japanese because I've been doing it for so long, but they'll still call me and be like, "Wesley, read this," And I'm like, that's Chinese, Mom.
She didn't know she thought it was
But
Japanese.
I've told her so many different times. I have my dad. I've told him.
Okay, I was there. That was just a minute ago. She said she thought it was Japanese on the screen, and then the guy goes, "Meanwhile,"
Yeah, he's like,
here's
meanwhile in China. I'm
and
like,
we just
Mom.
kind of looked at each other.
Well, I don't know if she thought it was Japanese or if she thought I was learning Chinese.
No, she definitely thought it was Japanese. Your mom listens to you.
Sometimes.
So
Sometimes.
anyway, Wesley, read this.
Read this.
You're like, I can't. Meanwhile,
She's like, it looks the same.
to be fair to me, it does, but like I don't know it. But I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the same sometimes, but like
I thought you said they took part of the writing system.
they did, but I'm not gonna get into actually learning actual systematic of Japanese. But there's 3 writing systems in Japanese.
No, let's not start.
There's katakana, hiragana, and kanji. And kanji is taken from Chinese, but it was taken from Chinese 300 or 400, or maybe even longer than that, like 1,000 years ago.
Long time ago. I remember this.
Like hundreds of years ago, Chinese. So the Chinese that is Japanese is different from Chinese that is Chinese. It's actually closer to Cantonese, really.
Oh, well, Cantonese is just like
Hong
Southern Chinese.
No, it is not, but okay. Cantonese is like
Different.
I think if I was going to learn another English, Asian language.
I learned another English.
I'm mashing words together today.
You were doing so good, man.
I like linguish and English.
I'm going to learn some English, man.
If I was going to learn another Asian language, it would be either Cantonese or Korean. Because I don't really want to go to China.
Korean's hard, though, from what I've understood. It's
Actually, the grammar and structure is like very similar to Japanese. So if you already know Japanese, it's like...
Yeah, because I remember hearing it was like, this letter is ga, and this one's double ga. I was like, what?
But the Korean alphabet's like one of the best alphabets in the world.
Really?
Or like the easiest to understand. It's similar to Japan's 2 alphabets that aren't kanji.
Oh, yeah.
It's in that it's like phonetic.
Mm-hmm.
And Korean also used to use the Chinese kanji, or they called it hanja, and the Chinese call it hanzi, I think.
Something like that. Yeah.
But they used to use that, and a lot of the older Korean people still know it. But
we actually have a person, or I guess we graduated. We had a girl in the band who knew Korean.
Yep.
Like the alphabet at least, and then she memorized the curse words because she thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting person.
But yeah, the Korean used to use Chinese, and they still do sometimes, because the problem with that the alphabet being
Phonetic?
Yeah, phonetic.
Is that the word you're looking for?
Or it's like syllabic.
Yes, Slavic.
But the problem with it being phonetic is that if you just read something by itself with little context, it creates a lot of ambiguity.
Oh, it's just like, I get these sounds, but what do these sounds mean?
So sometimes in the news, they'll use Chinese to clear it up, or the Chinese characters in Korean to clear it up. But the problem is that the modern Korean youth doesn't have to learn the Chinese. So
there's certainly
a problem.
That'd be like if you showed a 6-year-old our newspaper and it had the word thine in it, and they're just like,
But they've also been using English to clear it up sometimes now, which is very interesting.
That would be so confusing to pick up a newspaper and you see ga v. It's like, and that wasn't like,
yeah.
I know those are actual letters, so I'm just making it not sound like I was just like, Asian language, you know. It's like, no,
yeah,
that's actual sounds they make. Oh gosh.
Anyway, he can't speak Korean.
I cannot speak Korean.
Just say Korean stuff.
They have Korea booze.
I believe it, especially because of
K-pop.
Yeah,
K-pop and J-pop get a lot of people in the United States.
A lot of Koreans and Japanese people kind of hate the other one, though.
I mean, yeah, can you blame them? They invaded each other.
It's true. Like, it's kind of sad in a way.
I mean, that's just the way it'd be.
It'd be like racism and stuff.
But that's like you and me. Is that racism? That's like you and me say we hate Germans because they're white.
That's still racism. I hate Germans.
That's nationalism.
Okay,
nationalist.
Korean and Japan is
they're the same.
They're not technically.
They're not the same race.
I mean, they're
You're
close.
thinking of ethnicity.
I think it's still racism.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure it's nationalist.
They don't like each other anyway.
They don't like each other because of the nation they're from.
But then could you say all racism is just nationalism?
No.
Why not?
What do you mean, why not?
If there's a Japanese Korean person,
Okay.
and they don't like him because he's Japanese,
If
that's racist.
there's a white American guy and a black American guy, and the white American guy hates the black American guy
Yeah.
because he's black, does that mean he hates America?
No.
That's
but-
what you just said.
Okay, but I'm saying if there's a Japanese guy being raised in Korea and the Korean students hate him because he's Japanese, isn't that racism?
No,
No?
it's not. They hate him because of his nationality. They're both Asian.
Anyway. But they're different types of Asian.
That's nationality or ethnicity then.
Racism.
No. Wesley.
It's still racism.
It's not. Okay, sure, whatever. It's racism.
Thank you.
I'll humor you. If you that's not what racism means.
Google is Japanese and Korean two different races.
No.
They look different.
That's not what races are.
They're different races.
No. I just wrote is Japanism.
It's Japanism.
Is Japanese and Korean different dude, I even sound like I'm stupid right now. Is Japanese and Korean different races? It's not.
Yes.
I promise you they're not. Are Chinese, Korean, and Japanese the same race?
You can be racist towards your own race.
Well, yeah.
It wouldn't make much sense, but I could hate you for being white.
You remember that blind black guy who was part of the KKK?
I've heard of, I think I remember you mentioning that.
Like, that is, Japanese are predominantly descendants of the Yayoi people and are closely related to other modern East Asians, especially Koreans. Especially
closely
Korean.
related doesn't mean they're the same.
No, that
They're
doesn't.
different.
They are.
Okay.
They have the same genetic history, therefore they're the same.
We have solved racism.
No. Well, all the Chinese and the Mongolians are related to Genghis Khan, so they're the same race.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so they're different races. So racism.
It's not.
So anyway, I wouldn't really want to go to China.
What? Why? I feel like you. No, I wouldn't want to.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. I don't.
Oh,
really
I thought you
want-
said you do. I was
I
like,
said I don't really want to go to China. That's why if I was going to learn another Asian language, it wouldn't be Chinese or
yeah,
Mandarin Chinese,
Vietnamese.
Vietnamese. I've
Then
heard
you-
Vietnam is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I know a girl who went there.
You know what you could do?
What?
Maybe there's a particular Vietnam War vet you don't like. You learn Vietnamese and then hide in the trees near his house.
Started speaking Vietnamese, and he shoots me.
No, he ain't got a gun. You think he just open carries a rifle?
Yes,
What?
Vietnam War vet.
Actually, that's fair.
fair.
You just start speaking Vietnamese. Dude, he like draws on you too. He's like,
There's quick draws.
they used to call me Quick Draw Earl.
Quick draw Earl.
I don't know. That sounds like a Vietnam War name.
Vietnam War name. What made you want to learn Russian?
It's a bit out of like just curiosity. I mean, like I wanted to learn part of the culture, so the language kind of comes with that. And then there's the obviously the communistic part and the different kinds of government ideologies is what comes
Sorry
with
if you
part
can
of
hear
it.
that dog.
Nah, they can't hear it. You're good.
I think I might be able to.
Shh, just don't acknowledge it. The ideological hate. I just want to know what it's like. You know, like the culture, the people, see what it's like from an unbiased perspective.
Yeah.
Because like everything is like super positive over there. Like they could be kind of straight to the point, and they sound kind of depressing kind of people, but they're really nice, believe it or not.
I believe it.
Don't ask how are you. I was talking to you about that before. Do not say how are you.
I don't remember what you said about.
If you ask how are you, they will tell you.
Oh, they'll tell you.
They will
really.
tell you. They will tell you. It's not the I'm good.
It's not just I'm good. You just say I'm good.
Yeah. What the heck is this?
That was one thing I was pondering on today.
Yeah.
Not exactly that, but when I went to the gas station.
Sorry, I got distracted.
It's the gas station I always go to. So
Okay, yeah, that
they were
one,
nice to me, and I was thinking, I was like, in Japan, it's like,
What are you looking for?
Okay,
Considered weird to be
No, it's not industrialized, but
industrialized.
that's not the word.
What
But
are you
it's like,
looking for?
it's not indoctrinated. It's not
Incubated.
no, it's like okay, it's when it's
What?
made normal through like a company. It's
Indoctrinated. That's that.
is it indoctrinated?
I mean, it's close
that's not
enough.
the word I'm looking for though.
Indicated. Yeah.
Anyway,
Factory standard.
like it's built into the culture that like you got to be super nice in your place of work, whether you like want to or not.
Oh yeah,
or
that's
not.
a lot of fast food
But,
and like gas station places.
No, but I'm saying it's not that way in America, really.
Yeah, I
But
know what you meant. I
In
was just trying
Japan,
to say.
it's very much like that. Like if you're a server of any kind, like you have to be a game being nice no matter how your life's going, and that's good for the customer. But then like I also thought about like in America when someone's, or at least here in the South, people are nice to you because they're just nice,
Yeah.
and that's like kind of more wholesome.
Yeah, but except for when waiters are nice, because I mean, like they're literally
Well, yeah, but
they
like-
get paid extra money for being nice,
Yeah,
which makes
but-
me kind of sad.
But most of the time, in other situations, when people are nice to you, it's just because they want to be nice, or
Yeah.
you're being nice.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, but with the how are you, like I got distracted. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
You know I get ADD sometimes. But with the how are you thing, what?
Never mind.
You saying study group?
No, I was just going skip.
Oh, I thought you were like study group.
Study group.
It's like why is he whispering study group? But if you say how are you and you say good, that is like a slap in the face.
What?
You have to go into detail.
Does that mean you don't want to talk to them if you say good?
Pretty much. It's like considered so rude. Like if you're the way it was described to me is this lady moved to New York, right, in the United States, but she was from Russia, and her mom calls her every night. And if her mom says how are you, that means tell me everything since you last called me.
Wow.
Yeah, like you have to. They're very like close knit with each other. So it's
That's
like,
intense.
yeah, so you don't say, like if somebody comes in the store, like in the United States, I'd say this is kind of normal. Like when somebody, like you walk into a restaurant and they're like, hey, how are you? You know, and you're like, good.
that's-
Yeah.
How's it going?
They don't say that. That is like, you have to spill your guts on them. It's like, oh no, I don't like that thought. Cause I say that out of habit too
Yeah.
from working.
Do they have a greeting that's like that? Like what
Just
is
hi.
Just hi?
Hello.
That's it?
Здравствуйте. You know, it's just,
It's over?
Yep.
It's conversation over.
it's like, welcome, you know, not a how are you, something like that. It's very strange to me.
I remember one time I was at the gym and like I work mainly in childcare, and I saw one of the dads out there when I was working out. I was like, and I said, "How's it going?" It's like, and then he responded with like, "What's up, bro?" And it's like it was two questions, and like we both like didn't hear what the other one said, and we just like walked away. It's like, "What's up, bro?" It's like, "How's it going?"
That's America. No, I'd say that's America at its finest. A little less in the South, but like just like, hey. My favorite is when you walk in the gas station and it's like you and another guy, and like a lot of guys in the South just don't want to talk to each other. I'd say that's true. If you're strangers, you'll just
You
kind
don't
of
have to talk while you talk.
it's like I don't want to. I'm doing my stuff. You do your stuff.
Yeah.
You just kind of look at each other and you just go. It's just your
You
head.
do the head nod. You're like, or no, if you don't know somebody, it's
down. If you know them, it's up, which is weird.
that's just how it is.
Like nobody teaches you that. You just
That's
kinda,
just something you have to know.
Yeah, it's like how do I? And I hate that I do. I don't hate that I do it, but I find it very weird because it's very subconscious.
You'll do it, and then you'll think about how you just did it.
It's like, did I just? Yeah,
You can't not do it,
it just feels like just next time somebody does it, to you,
especially
just
if
stare
they
them
do
down.
it first. It's
Yeah.
impossible to not do it.
Yeah, just stare them in the eye after they do it. Just see what happens. It's like, how do you respond to that? It's a very strange social convention, I guess.
Yeah.
Do they do that outside of America? I wonder.
I have no idea.
That's-
I don't think they do it in Japan, from what I know, but I'm not.
I mean, in all the anime I've seen, they don't go.
I've never seen it in anime.
I've never seen that in my cartoons.
I don't know about any
Japanese.
other country.
Yeah, that'd be kind of. That's something we should look up. Not now, but like some of the
Do
time.
people head nod as a greeting?
I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, how far are we at?
Almost an hour and a half. We're at 125.
I'd say that's probably fine for this one.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah. Well, all right. And we done talked about languages, a couple other things.
What else did we talk about?
College a little bit. Took us about 45 minutes to get to the main topic of the podcast, which is funny because we always come up with a list of stuff and then we just kind of go.
Yeah, but I'd rather have the list just in case.
Oh, no, I'm not talking bad about it. I just think it's funny. But
it's just not a long he says list, but it's like 3 or 4 things.
Yeah, but those are big topics.
Yeah, you got to have a topic with some meat.
Some meat. Not some that veg meat.
Yeah.
Not Vegemite,
don't want a
though.
thin topic.
Thin mints. Anyway, that'll be about it for this podcast. So drop a comment after the beep.
Drop a comment after the beep?
You heard me.
It's usually leave... Okay.
Leave a comment after the beep. Drop a message after the beep. Display your message after the sound tone.